The ACC. That's all I really have to say. We're blind ranking the ACC mascots. All right, welcome to the ranking of the ACC mascots. That should be the All Coast Conference, but alas, it is not. It is the Atlantic Coast Conference. I'll pull up some pictures. I'll blow up some pictures in a post or whatever. But we've got Otto the Orange from Syracuse. We've got Sebastian the Ibis from University of Miami in Florida. We've got the Hokey Bird from Virginia Tech. We've got Osceola and Renegade from Florida State University. We've got Louis the Cardinal from Louisville. We've got the Cavalier from the University of Virginia. From Wake Forest, we've got the Demon Deacon on his motorcycle. From Georgia Tech, we've got Buzz the Yellow Jacket and the Rambler. From University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, we've got Ramses the Ram. From University of Pittsburgh, we've got Rock the Panther, I think he is. From NC State, we have Mr. Wolf. Not seen Mrs. Wolf, but there is a female variant as well. From Boston College, we have Baldwin the Eagle. From Clemson, we've got the Tiger. And from our three newcomers here, we've got Oski the Bear from Cal. We've got, I think it's Peruna from SMU. I think it's Peruna. I think that's how you pronounce it. And unofficial mascot from Stanford is the Tree. So we're going to start from top down, left to right here. First things first, Otto the Orange. I would be hard-pressed to see Otto the Orange at a football game just because he doesn't feel like he's a football mascot. I'm going to give him... Whoa. Look at that. That's kind of weird. First instinct, I'm going to go for a B just because he's like... Well, first off, B for ball. I mean, that's kind of an obvious answer. He's kind of like a basketball-shaped. You know, he's kind of interesting. He's kind of recognizable, but he looks more like a... I'm going to go down to C, actually. He just looks like he's like... It's just not an imaginative costume. You know, it's like... what is it? It's a circle. It's an orange. An orange isn't scary. It's approachable. It's like cool for kids. I'd let my, fictional daughter take a picture with it, but if I'm the opposing team, I'm not like, oh, we're playing the orange. That's scary. No, it's not scary. C tier. I would say B just because of the basketball legacy and like going into Syracuse and the Carrier Dome, it's a pretty intimidating place to play. I mean, at least it was when Boeheim was there and everything. I think he's still there. I don't know. Anyway, from a football aspect, he's got to be a C just because Syracuse has been nothing to, it hasn't been really a powerhouse ever, at least not in the years that I've been a fan of college football, the last, dozen years or so. We're moving on to Sebastian the Ibis. Sebastian the Ibis from Miami. I think he's got to be an S tier just because of the history that surrounds Sebastian. I mean, the era with Sebastian with those teams that won the national championships back in the early 2000s. Even the Jimmy Johnson teams in the late 90s too were like just intimidating, like the Catholics versus convicts. That era was pretty sick with it's hard not to associate Sebastian the Ibis with that. And plus he's he's iconic, he's recognizable. I guess if I'm going for recognizable, I have to move the orange up just cuz he's pretty recognizable, but he's not that interesting to look at. Sebastian the Ibis, however, just he's cool. He's cool. He's got he made everybody knows the iconic U hands and I feel like that's what he's got going for him is the legacy that the U has and a little bit of the unique design. Plus I think those retro logos with them look absolutely sick. It's the coolest thing ever to see Sebastian the Ibis in those old retro logos they did back in the 70s and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to go S tier. Right alongside him, I'm going, the Hokies going straight to S tier. The Hokie is one of the most interesting looking mascots in all of college football. I mean, he's a turkey. What can you say other than he's a turkey? That's sick. What other turkey mascots can you think of? Not one. I can't think of one. I don't see any turkey mascots in any sport, whether it's professional, whether it's college, whether it's high school. I don't know a single turkey. So I'm gonna have to go S tier. Maybe A tier, just because he doesn't have that recognizable zhuzh that the University of Miami has. But the Hokie's so cool. I would love to see. It would be a dream of mine to see Michael Vick, Frank Beamer, Coach Beamer. I think it's Frank. It would be Michael Vick, Coach Beamer, and the Hokie sitting in the tunnel while Enter Sandman plays at Virginia Tech. That would be like an absolutely electric moment to see in college football. So I'm gonna have to go A tier. Maybe I'm gonna let my personal feelings bump them up to an S tier. You might disagree with it. Let me know in the comments what you think. If the Hokie Bird is such a recognizable mascot in college football, I think he's pretty cool. Up next, we have Osceola and Renegade from Florida State. They're obviously S tier. The horse is just a beautiful horse. It's one of the most cool traditions that there is in sports. Riding out to the middle of the field with the flaming spear and throwing it in the center. I mean, it's such a cool look. Incredibly intimidating. The horse, like I said before, is a beautiful horse, and it's one of the last few Native American teams with like an actual Native American team name, which is kind of cool, which is like a relic of the past that, we don't really see anymore. So, that's kind of interesting. But I think the combination between the two of them and the tradition, it's got to be an S tier, absolute S tier. Next up on our list, we've got Louis from Louisville. I would say Louis is probably, I don't know, I'm going to go with a B on this one just because, like, he's cool. He's a Redbird, but, being somebody who used to live in the Midwest, he looks just like Cy the Cyhawk. I mean, they're both just red birds. I don't know. He's not really that recognizable. I'm sure if you're an ACC fan, if you're a Louisville fan, I'm sure that you're screaming at your computer screens right now. But I mean, I just don't think that he's that iconic of a mascot. Other than like Lamar Jackson and like that era, I don't really associate him with any greatness in college football. I mean, in college basketball and stuff, he probably would be closer to an A tier, but I'm thinking college football and even like college basketball. He was associated with like the scandals with Coach Pitino and everything from there. So I think he'd have to be bumped down to a B tier. I think he's much less interesting looking of a mascot compared to, well, I don't know about that. I think the orange is much more recognizable, but I don't. Every time I can put something next to the orange, I think the orange has to get higher and higher just because he's like such a unique looking mascot. Like you can see him from anywhere, and like his branding is iconic. There isn't another orange, but there is another red bird, and there's a bunch of red birds. I mean, I think it's Southern Illinois are the Redbirds, like some FBS school, something like that. So I'm gonna actually have to go change that. I'm gonna have to go Otto the Orange is an A, the Bird from Louisville is a B. We're moving on to our next one. We're going to the Cavalier from the Virginia Cavaliers. He's going to go C tier. I would actually go D tier with him. Like, he's not that unique looking of a mascot. And it's a Cavalier. They have a live mascot who rides out on a horse sometimes, and that's like kind of cool, but I don't know. Just there's not a whole lot there that makes him like stand out as a mascot. He looks like he could be your local community college mascot. So I'm going to have to go D tier with him. The Demon Deacon already going to A tier. I would go him to S tier, but he hasn't been associated with any greatness recently. I mean, I know that there was like the Chris Paul era and everything, and I think, didn't Duncan go? Duncan was a Demon Deacon he played at Wake Forest, I'm pretty sure. But I don't really associate him. I think he's like iconic in his look, and he rides out on the motorcycle, kind of like the Duck does at a football game, the Oregon Duck does at football games. I think it's kind of cool. I think he kind of like brings an aura with him, and he's just like an iconic looking. He kind of looks like Colonel Sanders, but if Colonel Sanders was like much more angry than he was. I like it. I think an A is a solid spot right next to the orange. I would say the orange probably goes in front, but I'll move actually Osceola up just a little bit. Next up, we've got Buzz in the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech. This one's a tough one for me. I actually really like Buzz in the Ramblin' Wreck, and the combination between the two of them, I would probably have to say I would go with like a B tier, just because like he's like the Yellow Jacket is such a recognizable mascot, but at the same time, like it seems just slightly uninspired. I guess like if you would go for the combination of the car with Buzz, I would probably move it up a little bit, just because the Rambling Wreck is like such an iconic piece of college football lore. But I'm gonna go down to B, just because like the Buzz mascot itself is like, there's probably a lot of those mascots out there. I would probably have to say the same thing about the Demon Deacon, I guess, if I'm really thinking about it. There's probably a lot of like person, like old person style mascots. Maybe move it down, but I don't know. I'm going to keep it. I'm actually going to move it down. We're going to go Buzz is the best of the B tier. Then it goes the Rambling, or excuse me, then it goes the Demon Deacon, and then it goes, maybe I'll move the Louis down to a C. You know, it's uninspired. It doesn't really bring me a whole lot of joy when I see it. Ramses, on the other hand, the Ram from University of North Carolina, it's probably... This one's a tough one, too. I feel like if the Hokie is up at A, maybe the Hokie goes down to A. I'll drop the orange down to B, and then we'll have these here. This feels like a lot better of a setup. So we've got the Ibis and Osceola. I'm going to have to go, actually, Osceola is the first one. Anyway, the Hokie seems like a lot better of a comparison for Ramses. I would have to say Ramses is a little bit actually in front of the Hokie just because of like his uniqueness and like the style of mascot he is. Plus there is a live mascot there, and I always have to give extra points for a live mascot. I love seeing live mascots. I don't know about you, but I love seeing live mascots. They're always kind of cool and unique and interesting, and especially if they're not like, it's like a creature endemic to the area, like seeing the tiger at Clemson, or it's the tiger at LSU. The tiger at LSU just doesn't really make me feel very happy when I see it. It's kind of like a gross, like, tiger shouldn't be there, But a ram, yeah, you could have a ram in North Carolina. Yeah, 100%. We're moving down to Rock from Pittsburgh, and I'm gonna have to give Rock a D tier. I'll put him in front of the Cavalier, but just not super interesting, not an inspired look. You could see him at any college, at any community college, and you're going to see a bear mascot. At least he's not. I guess I'll move him up because if we're going to compare him to a bear later, and at least he's a better. Excuse me, he's not a bear. What am I talking about? He's a panther. Jeez. Anyway, I guess that's how uninspired the look is, at least for me. We're going to move him up to a C tier just because, like, he's a panther, but, I do like the color combination. The redesign that they did with the light blue and the yellow is a much more interesting color compared to the dark blue that they had before. But, I'm going to have to move him up to a C just because, like, he's better than the Cavalier, but, he's kind of at that, I'm going to say C for community college. Like you could see him at like any community college or small school, and you're going to kind of see these guys, you're going to see these mascots on the sidelines at, like I said, Iowa State or, a bunch of different schools. Next up, we have Mr. Wolf from NC State, and I don't have to put him in that same category just because I feel like he should be there. I feel like he's going to be above the Panther. And I'm gonna actually put him above the Cardinal too. Not that interesting of a design for him, and it's uninspired. Like I feel like I've said the word a lot, but uninspired. It's uninteresting, and it doesn't feel like it has a super unique brand to it. I know that paired with Mrs. Wolf, I would have to say I would bump it up to a B tier just because the pair of them together. I feel like you see that in a lot of iconic designs, but I'm not super interested in Mr. Wolf. It's like he seems fuzzy, I guess. I'm like, if I was a kid, I don't know if I'd want to take a picture with him because he looks like emaciated when you see him in the face. He looks a little bit scary and a little weird, so I don't know. I'm not super impressed by him. He's not as iconic and like instantaneously recognizable as the guys we have above him. So I'll go with a C+ on this one. C+. We're moving down again to the D tier. We've got the Baldwin, I think, the Eagle from Boston College. Yeah, he's going to be a D tier. He's going to be the top. He's going to be the D+, because the Cavalier is just it's nothing for me. But Baldwin is going to be a D+. He's a bird. I mean, I get that he's an eagle, and rock flag and eagle, hoorah rah, United States, everything like that. But I don't know. He's not that cool looking of a character. If I was a kid, I'd take a picture with him, but, he doesn't seem as approachable and as fun and as friendly as Rock does from University of Pittsburgh. So I'm going to go D+ with him. Next up, we have the Tiger from Clemson. I just don't have the attachment to the Tiger as a lot of other people do. I know that he's iconic in his design, and he's been associated with a lot of high level football recently, especially considering the national championships that Clemson had in the 2020s and the late 2010s. I think I would have to put him at I'll put him at the lower end of the A. I feel like I should put him at the high end of the B tier. I would go like B plus plus. I don't think he's on the same level as like that instantaneous recognizability as the Hokie and the Ramses do, but I think he's a little bit more iconic and associated, at least with college football, than the Otto the Orange is. So I'm gonna have to go with a B plus. I feel like that's gonna be probably my most controversial pick, is having the Tiger as a B plus. I feel like a lot of people are gonna want him as an A or maybe even an S tier, but I don't see it. I don't see it. He looks like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. He's like he's a copyrightable character, and he's not that unique in his design. I don't know. I'm not all about that. I'll give him a B plus, just below an A. Next up, we've got one of the three newcomers we have here. We've got the bear Oski from Cal. He's going to be the absolute lowest one. He looks like this bear genuinely scares me. I don't understand the color difference between the face and the rest of the body. I don't understand it. It looks like he went like Dwight Schrute and he cut the face off of a different animal and put it on top of his face, or he's wearing like powdered makeup like they did in like the 30s and 20s and stuff. I don't understand the color difference. Like just have him one color. Like I've seen a bear before and I understand what a bear looks like, and that's not what a bear looks like. That's scary. That's going to give me nightmares. D minus. I even put the Cavalier above him because Oski, that ain't it. That ain't it, buddy. Try again. Next up, we've got the Southern Methodist University. I can't remember what it used to be called. It was like Dallas College or something. Anyway, I think it's Puruna, the horse or the stallion, Puruna from SMU. I would have to say I'm gonna go C tier here. I'm gonna go right in the middle of C tier. He's friendly looking. He's cool looking. If I was a kid, I think I'd be more interested to see him than I would Mr. Wolf. If I was a kid taking a picture with him, he's a horse. Everybody likes horses. I don't think he's as iconic and recognizable as these guys, but he's definitely up there. He's definitely above these guys. I feel like a horse though is community college level mascots. I might have to drop him down just a little bit, but I don't know. I feel like these two are it's gonna be a fight between Mr. Wolf and Purina or Purina. I don't know. It's not a dog food company, but Puruna. I'm gonna give him the top tier of C, just because he's a horse. Kids like horses, and he just seems a little less scary. And Mr. Wolf looks like he's coming off of looks like he's coming out of surgery, and he's his eyes are a little set or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, but I think Puruna, if I was a kid, I'd take a picture with him. I'd want to pet him because he's a horse. I want to pet his nose. But yeah, top of C tier. I think I'm down for top of C tier. And last but not least, we actually have an unofficial mascot. This is the unofficial mascot of Stanford. It's the tree. I think everybody who is a fan of sports in general, especially a fan of college football, understands that the tree is mostly associated with Stanford. Tree is S tier. If you have any debates on whether the tree is S tier, you are absolutely wrong. I'll put him at the bottom of S tier just because he's an unofficial mascot and he's technically not the official mascot of the Stanford Cardinal, but he's iconic. He's absolutely iconic. If you've ever played the mascot mode in NCAA footballs or NCAA football franchise, you had to play as the Stanford Cardinal. You've probably played the Stanford Cardinal, the Stanford tree against Otto the Orange at least like 25 times in your life. If you've ever played the NCAA college football, the old ones where you had the mascot mode, if you've ever played that mode, you've definitely had the current ACC matchup of the Stanford tree versus Otto the Orange. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize till I was absolutely done with everything that we forgot the Duke Blue Devil. Duke Blue Devil is definitely going to go in A tier. We're going to go A tier. We're going to go right behind Ramses. I feel like on the basketball court, he's going to be an S tier, but we're talking about football here. I guess I don't necessarily have to be talking about football, but my brain thinks football when I'm talking about this. I'm gonna go A tier for the Duke Blue Devil, just because I don't know, he's recognizable in his brand, but I don't think he's instantly as iconic as all the other guys at the S tier level. I feel like all the S tier guys are friendly, and I feel like the Blue Devil loses some points just because of his approachability. You know, he's not fuzzy, he's not fun looking, he's not a unique character. I mean, he's a unique character in the fact that he's a devil, but if I'm a kid, am I going to want to take a picture with a ram or a devil? The only reason I'm putting him above the Hokey Bird is because I know that the Hokey is my personal attachment to the character, not the entirety of his sports catalog. I feel like you associate the Duke Blue Devil with a lot more people, and I feel like that might actually bring him down a little bit. You know, like you're going to associate him with Christian Laettner, and you're going to associate him with JJ Redick, and those, you know, the guys who you might enjoy nowadays, but you would generally consider heels in the basketball and then the sports world. So I'm going to have to bring him down to A tier. I'm going to have him behind Ramses, because I feel like if I'm a kid, who am I going to rather take a picture with? If I'm an adult, who am I going to rather get a high five from? It's definitely going to have to be the ram. Plus, like I said before, we're giving extra points for having live mascots, and there's a cute little ram there. Of course, I would pay as an adult money to feed the little ram some like pellets of food out of my hand. So I'm going to have to go A tier for the Duke Blue Devil, right behind Ramses, but above my personal attachment as the Hokey Bird. So here we go. As our final rankings, we've got Osceola and Renegade. We've got Sebastian the Ibis and the Stanford Tree rounding out S tier. On A tier, we've got Ramses the Ram, the Duke Blue Devil, and the Hokey Bird from Virginia Tech rounding out A tier. On B tier, we've got the Clemson Tiger, Otto the Orange from Syracuse. We've got Buzz and the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech, and from Wake Forest, the Demon Deacon. On C tier, we've got Peruna from SMU, the horse. We've got Mr. Wolf, the wolf from NC State. We've got Louis, the cardinal from Louisville, and we've got Rock from Pitt. And finally, last but not least, we've got Baldwin the Eagle from Boston College. We've got the Cavalier from University of Virginia. And in our final spot, we've got Oski the Bear from Cal. I hope you guys like my rankings. I bet there's going to be some controversial picks here that you might have a different opinion. Let me know down below, and make sure to like and subscribe as well. I'm going to try to get all the rest of the FBS conferences hopefully out by the end of the month. I wouldn't hold my breath on that, but I'm really going to try. I'm thinking the Big 12 is going to come next, just because the Big 12 is like, it's a totally new conference now with the loss of Texas and Oklahoma, and the addition of what seems like every other school in college football that there was a transition with. So I'm excited to make the rest of these. I hope you guys were excited to see this one. Like I said before, let me know what changes you would make to mine, and we'll talk to you later. Peace. Thanks for watching.